Welcome back, everyone. Apologies, didn't realise I had the sound off. Anyway, amateur mistake. But we're back with another live session this afternoon, making use of the time to get these jobs done with the car. And so this afternoon, I'm going to talk you through how to set the servo up and the steering. I think it's a really important part of the build. Obviously making sure that the car runs straight, doesn't pull to either side, but also making sure that it turns evenly around the track. Really happy with how the build has gone. The stealth look is very much to my liking, that's for sure. So first things first, we need to do the turnbuckles. Want to make sure before you do anything that these are the right length. Now, every kit will have its own measurement for the turnbuckles, and depending on where you've got your steering link on the hub will depend on the length of the turnbuckle. So with the link on the rearward hull, 21 millimeters is the length of the turnbuckle. So I was adjusting these a little while ago. So I've got 21.11 there. I've got 21.1 there. So I'm happy with that they're identical. So that's that. What you're also going to need when you're doing this is making sure that I don't pull the camera over. Sorry about that. Straighten that up. You're going to need the Hoodie setup station, which is a good bit of kit, and I'm going to need the other parts to it as well, which are here. These bolt on the wheels, and these give you the measurements to set your steering and the track, etc., which I'll go into right now. So I've set the turnbuckles in the right length. I haven't centered the servo saver, that is. I've just plonked it on fairly central, should I say. So at this point, I'm now going to turn on my controller. I haven't got a servo, a pinion in my car, so I can just safely turn it on without worrying. And you can see that the wheels pull to one side. At this point, when I go into the system setup on my transmitter, I want to make sure that the sub trim is set to 0. So the sub trim is set to 0, and if you can see in the camera here, my servo saver is not centered, so it pulled to one side. At that point, I'm now going to put it off of the servo. So undo the servo saver and make it pop off. And then, because I know that it's zeroed on the sub trim, and obviously I've got the trims on my model centered as well, they're not pulled to one side, I'm then going to try my very best to get the servo saver centered on the servo. Now, it's not often that it will sit perfectly vertically, so it doesn't. One side sits slightly closer to 0 than the other. Pretty similar, to be honest. So at that point, I'm then going to put the servo saver back on the servo. So she's bolted up. It's great. And then at that point, I'm going to put the servo saver with my sub trim as close to vertical as I can make it. Again, making this as accurate as possible, I eyeball it up against the crossbeam. These two nuts here that should have bolts on, nuts on. I'm trying to make it as close to the top arm as possible, the gap between the top arm and each bolt. That way I know it's centered. Great, so that's now centered to the best of my ability. And that's that. And then what I'm going to do, the sub trim compared to the trim, by the way, sub trim only sets the center of the servo, doesn't affect the amount the wheels turn left and right, just sets the center of the servo saver on the servo itself. Then I'm going to take the wheels off. So at this point, I know the servo saver is centered. I know the turnbuckles are the same length. So now when I come to pop these gauges on, what it's going to allow me to do is now center the servo. So I'm going to bolt those on. So it's bolted on the same both sides. And at that point, I can now pop the setup station on. And when I push it across, so I'm just going to lift the front wheels up and just give them a bit of a wiggle and set them back down. Push it over. So I've got that line on the setup station here pointing perfectly up at the 0. I'll push it across, and then that's got ½ a degree of toe. So what that allows me to do is move the servo itself that way a very, very small amount. So I've moved it a very small amount. What I thought was a very small amount, I actually moved it a lot. So that's now the same both sides. It allows me to then push the servos into the chassis, lift it up, and do both bolts up. Give it a wiggle just to make sure that it's the same. Still a fraction out. Still a fraction out. I mean, we are talking fractions here. In the effort of trying to get it perfect. Yeah, that's pretty darn close now, both sides. So now I know that the servo saver is centered, the servo centered, got the same amount of toe on both sides. Now I'm going to put this on, and to confirm it, I'm going to turn it all the way to one side, and I've got 24 degrees of inside wheel, and I've got 22 degrees of inside wheel. So I've got 2 degrees one way more than the other. Now there could be a few reasons for that. I'm going to take the sub trim to start with, and I think that sub trim is not quite right. Just go back over that. Still needs a bit more cracking sub trim. Yep, okay, so that's back to 0, which has then thrown that out again, obviously. So I'm then going to reset that. Bolts back up. Make sure that's balanced again. Yep. Okay. Still a couple of degrees out. I'm just going to double check everything again. So very happy that the servo saver is centered. I'm going to double check the length of the turnbuckles. There's a slight discrepancy in the turnbuckles, which I didn't find first time around. Yep, so I've got a little bit more length in that turnbuckle. .21 dead. 2103. Let's go again. Okay. So still missing 1 degree. Which would point to sub trim. So I'm going to turn it across to there, and I'm just going to up the sub trim just a touch. So you can see there's an element of messing around with this to try and get it to match up. Let me check that. So that's that. We've still got one degree more on the left than the right. And these are definitely components that your club racer, which I am, is not doing on a regular basis, making sure that this level of accuracy, again, probably not completely needed, but if you're looking for your car to go, as I say, as well as possible, why would you not be doing it? Let's say I'm looking for one degree. Good, I'm there. So there's a lot of fanning about that goes on, but the nuts and bolts of it is that I've now got the same right turn as left turn without changing any trims. Obviously, don't want to mess around with your trims. And now I've got inside wheel measurement, outside wheel measurement, the same amount of turn both sides, a centered servo saver, same turnbuckle lengths, and she's set nice and true. 1.5 degrees of camber either side on the car, and put the wheels back on. She is then good to go. A really, really, really nice looking kit. Really nice looking kit. Very stealth. Rear pod perfectly balanced. She is good to go. Need to set the side springs still. Just need to do that. What else do I need to do? Need to set the droop. That needs doing as well. These are all videos that I'll probably run through, and I'm going to maybe do a shell this evening. Cut a shell out. And maybe I'll do that live a little bit later. I think that's something that we all could do with a little bit of help mentoring on. Not saying again that I've got that nailed, but I think certainly something that causes an issue for all of us. That's another video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. It'd be great to have you along for further live clips. Any questions, pop them in the comments box below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Other than that, have a great evening everyone. Speak soon.